So I suppose in regards to coming back to your question about like cup filling, it's as a coach, it's putting yourself in those situations where you're able to be around like-minded individuals as well.
Yes.
I suppose it's something we don't actually have a real strong community with, or that we're around, where coaches talk with other coaches.
Yes.
But it's finding those spaces, but also doing stuff like you're doing today with us. It's getting yourself around like-minded individuals where right now, I'm sure if I'm reading the energy in the space here, we're all getting a lot more from this. And I'm giving out a lot, but I'm not giving out more than I'm getting back. You know, so it's finding those things.
And it's trying to build those same sort of relationships with your clients.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
this is what helps.
People aren't just numbers and just, bodies. Bodies. Like, we've got to look after people.
This is what you need in the space to be successful, because like we were saying about, like, a lot of people around here in particular have similar qualifications initially. So if you want to really step it up and be a thing, you need to be you. Because this is where, like, when we started our business, it was around people were going to see Brendan. Now, I came in like a year into it, but it was going into the shop to experience Brendan, sitting in appointments just to catch up with him, because everyone loved taking some energy from him, But
it's just authentic energy. Because
you're just being
that's you.
I'm in a position where I can keep giving it without.
Well, it's not exhausting.
It's not exhausting because it's you. Exactly, and it's that's it really. Authentic energy. You've got authentic energy. We all have that little bit of authenticity that gives us the opportunity to
attract our people.
Beautiful.
You're not looking at a whole market. I don't appeal to the whole market, and that's fine. Some people find parts of me airy-fairy or whatever it might be. But my people are my people. And until you find that thing within yourself, which is scary because you're all of a sudden putting off some of those people that might have given you money to coach for a 12-week term, you're now aligning yourself with those that could be on for years and they love you. So it's the levels of coaching and being confident in that too.
How do you guys find that, for example, people coming into relationship, because we are finding ourselves, it's quite freeing to be able to speak like this and be vulnerable and be real, but like from a few conversations that I've had with some people, they actually find it difficult to be able to have these sort of conversations, purely because I feel judged, or I think I'll be judged, and I don't want to come across as weak or as if I don't have everything all together. How would you guys navigate, number one, which friends or which people you can go to where you feel safe and you feel that this is okay to share this with them?
I guess that's just a time. It's a time thing too. It's
Can I I think it's a healing thing. I think for myself, like my perspective, mild background here, my life wasn't always a honky-dory of this beautiful life I had. But so coming from depths of shame, I suppose right back to parents being divorced, and back then that wasn't super normal, so there was shame around that. In a relationship that was extremely abusive, and I was not this confident. So it's being able to... We've addressed together, we have addressed absolutely every demon and everything that hurt to think and feel about. We've addressed for each other. And in order to do that has helped reveal who we actually are as people and who we want to be. So when I'm sitting down and it's like, oh, that's hard to talk about, it's not anymore, but I remember years back confronting, because even like as nutritionists or bodybuilders, showing up to dinner with family and taking your own meal, explain that one. Now, how confident are you? Because, even like you've said, those years where it's like showing up with a meal, like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to be a bodybuilder. Doesn't look like it's working. No, but wait 5 years, then you'll be laughing because it will have worked. There's that phase that we have through everything we do in life where it looks like you're taking the piss, or it looks like your efforts aren't worth it. But eventually being able to look back on that, and people that can have been around at the start there and see where you end up going, then they get it. Because it's like everything we do, whether it's shit at jiu-jitsu and then eventually you're good at it, you have to go through those discovery points where it looks not as good as it looks at the end.
We've got a thing that we always, the two of us always say to each other, it's like, commit to it fully for 12 months. You will be better
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
You will understand, like the beginning is the depth of the understanding of how do I figure this out.
But
It's out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I've got to do things that I've never done before. I've got to try and figure out what to do. Like that's a thing. That's frustrating. It's discomfort. It's all those types of things. But 12 months time, there will be growth if you are consistently applying yourself. No matter what it is, you will have a slightly different understanding of where you were at the start, you know? And it's just being vulnerable in those situations and like kind of touching on like how you said like all those demons and all those things and you know like more of those things come up and more of those things are going to continue to come up as you go further through life if you allow it.
And you kind of get to a point where they're hard, but it's like, oh, didn't expect that one to come up. Like, yes, let's dive this, let's heal it and get it gone so we can keep moving forward.
How do you get the courage to actually be able to dive into those situations? Because naturally people shy away from it. You know?
I think this is where, like, for me personally, and the space I'm trying to hold on my social media too, is to show people that it's okay to have broken parts. It's okay to have gone through shit. In fact, going through shit, if I hadn't, I wouldn't be where I am now. This is how I can relate to so many other people. But also to come from a space of knowing that I, at the age of 18, thought my life was doomed and I was going to be extremely insignificant.
Okay.
And I'm not insignificant.
What led to that? What led to that?
That feeling?
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot more people who would think that their life is insignificant or I will never amount to anything. Probably because some people said these things to you.
Circumstances. And I suppose, like, so growing up, like I say, my parents got divorced. I ended up having years where I had no contact with my mum. I had the same in reverse with my dad. Abusive relationship with an ex. Like, it's funny because I talk about these things now and they feel so irrelevant, but I understand, I suppose, for others it's important to know some aspect of that because you wouldn't get it from who I am now. But I don't know, where do I kind of go with that? This thing with me and Brennan has been the thing that's changed all of that, which has created the healing, because for until that point where I met him, I kind of did want to run from all of it, and I was happy being I was okay with being insignificant because I think that feeling of I'm insignificant and this is my path is far easier than changing. Even in a sense of like how we were top of the game in New Zealand for bodybuilding, we could have kept pushing on that door. We could have tried to go international and potentially I might still, but it's also going, I've done all right with this. Let's reinvent. Let's figure out who else I could be if I'm not identified by this thing. And that's where a lot of the growth is kind of looking beyond that perspective. So the healing thing, it's, I don't really know how to expand on that any further. Did I really answer your question?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I guess sometimes things come up in your life where you've kind of got you've got a choice,
an opportunity,
and it depends how you really look at it. Like, I've got a choice here. Do I change or do I stay the same? Like, it's what's your why? Like, you know, like this is going to be hard and this feels scary and that type of thing. But could it potentially be better than where I am now? And like, how badly do I really want that? And, you know, like, what am I willing to do? Because everyone has things. Everyone gets scared about stuff. You know, there's been a lot of stuff that we've been going through lately that's been confronting and it's been challenging on so many different levels.
All the yuck feelings.
And like, it's been really hard to sit with those feelings because in the past there's been other ways that I've just kind of masked those feelings up and been like, God, just keep doing your thing. Don't worry about it. You know, like,
there is always
push it over here. You know,
and there's always that choice.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there always is that choice. So,
but even for us now, we're looking far deeper. Like, we could have just done our move and ignore all the stuff in our house and just put it up. It's a family members, for example. But we've decided to confront all those things and hit them head on, like
and feel those
feel
feelings.
the feelings.
And sometimes they're gross.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they're
Nice.
gross.
I love it.
They're fucking
Yeah.
horrible, but
Horrible.
you have to kind of give them the space or the time or the thought that they need and feel them, and then try and like really break down like, why am I feeling this way, and is it going to hang around forever? Probably not, because it's just the feeling. But if I can address it and understand it, then I can probably move forward from it and grow from it. Next time this situation comes up, I would have learned, and I can keep moving forward or deal with it whatever way. You know, like
it's hard because we say it almost so easily because it's just us now.
It's so not easy.
But also when these things come up, a lot of the time for people, it's bloody blah blah blah. That's why that's happened. This person's done this to me, or that person just ran my car. Not how did I affect the situation? What did I do in order to have this happen to me? Really hard to say in some situations, but to be in a space where we're looking at everything of going, all right, this is the situation in front of me right now. How do I change this? Because a lot of the time, it's easier for us to blame it on someone else and be a victim. I can't fix it because someone else did it. Oh, motherfucker, this is why this has happened. I've brought this on, you know? But so it's being able to look at life and go, I have control over everything. And that's great.
Yeah, or I
But
don't. Or I don't.
Yeah,
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I can be present in the moment.
But to still take advantage of it yourself.
Yeah, I can sit with what's going on, and I can figure out a way forward without it really weighing me down and slowing me down as a person, as a you know, like those types of things. Yeah. It's almost very cliche when you say this kind of stuff.
It's hard because unless you've started to experience some of it, it does just seem like, whatever, that doesn't fucking work. I tried that last week, like, just let it go. Like, that didn't work. I'll still think about it later. But it's a levels thing. Eventually it does, just like anything, like with confidence on a camera or confidence when PTing somebody. Like, initially you kind of fake it until eventually it's just so in your core that it's, for example, when we were in Thailand, Brennan had gone there, we'd gone there with the intention of 8 weeks to go hard. We were going to bring home some jiu-jitsu techniques for our club. We were ready. And then in the first week or something, the coach twisted Brennan's knee the wrong way and he was fucked.
Yeah, blew the MCL out.
Wow.
You know, it's a lot of my direction was focused on physical.
Yes.
Your comfort.
You know, my comfort zone. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come back a savage. Like, watch out. Like, you know? Okay. This isn't what you need. Someone's saying, like, this isn't what you need right now.
He's a sign.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with
What
this?
are you going to do with this, you know? And I kind of struggled up and down for 2 or 3 weeks, and it was like, cool, I can think of other things to do. That's all right. I can keep moving forward physically, but I'm still holding myself back. And then it was
Still
really
trying to fit that mold.
yeah, it was reading a book, and fuck, this thing just dropped into my head, and it was like, oh wow, fucking, this is it. Like, this is sick. Like, man, I need to be focusing more on internal and, you know, mental and like psychological, and like really taking this time to build on those things. This is perfect. You know, like, where's this gonna go? Like, I just felt different, you know, and reinvigorated.
Nice.
And like, oh, cool, the knee doesn't really matter now. I can still go and train and do weights 3 times a week. Fuck, jiu-jitsu's out for the next 8 weeks or probably longer. But that's okay, I'll get back there.
But
I've
because
got a different direction now.
there was growth coming. But so sometimes I think it's being able to look at a situation and go, this is how I wanted the day to pan out. This is not how it panned out. And that's okay, because now I have to understand why the day's panned out this way. And there's something in this that I'm actually meant to be learning that's not what I thought I was meant to learn when I woke up this morning. But yeah, so it's interesting to be open to those things all the time, but there's levels to that. And we make it sound super easy, but it's not. It's, you're constantly going through a cycle of tests and growth, tests and growth. And at some point along the line, you're going to hit one that hits you so bloody hard that you decide just to shut it off. And you might stay there and not move forward ever again. Or it might just take you a few times to kind of learn that thing before you can start to process and go through.
Yeah. Nice. You touched on books
I was going to say, come back to that.
Yeah.
You need a like full disclaimer of this book because for people hearing what you just said, you were stuck.
Yeah.
Physically,
Yeah.
you read a book,
Yeah.
and your life changed. Like this is monumental. So some people probably want to know what the book is.
Yeah. But and then once again, it kind of sounds so cliche, but it really depends what you get back out of the words. You know, like it was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, come on, Kiyosaki.
Simple as that.
And Brendan had never been a massive book reader.
No, I hadn't read books since I was a kid for a long time.
Yes.
You
Because
know?
we're not taught. Like, we don't think it's cool. Or,
Especially not me neither.
Yeah.
But so that was one of those, like, looking at the suitcase, like, we should take a couple books to read.
Yeah.
Oh, there's these 4 books that have been in the thing for like a year, which we haven't touched. We'll take them. And then you just picked up for some reason.
Yeah, picked it up and must have been 3 or 4 days into it, and then we're just literally sitting out on the balcony reading, and I was just like,
wow. What an amazing author, right? Like, just the way how he puts things into perspective.
So
because he tells it as he makes it a
gives you
very
everything but
real, relatable
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
A story. He tells you a story.
Yes,
It's not
absolutely.
just numbers and confusing information.
He doesn't tell you the way. He's not like, "Hi, I'm Rich Dad," and this, or Rich Dad Poor Dad. Understand the story if you look at it, but he doesn't say, "Look, this is how I made $1 trillion," which people want. Right?
Yes.
Read the book. He fucking told you nothing.
Yes,
How to make money. He tells you the understanding of the principles and the perspective of 2 very different minds. It opens your mind. And it opened yours in an instant.
Yeah, and it was just it was a
Defining
pivotal
moment.
point for us, a defining moment, because from there, 10 months later, we're now here, and the change has been significant.
So explain the story. We're going to end up telling them what we're actually doing. So explain what the thought was when I walked down to the balcony. What did you say to me?
I was reading it, and Kayla walked out, and I turned around to her. And I said, "We're going to sell our house."
Wow! Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And she kind of looked at me, and she was like,
"Where's this thought coming from?"
Why? Like, okay, cool, but we need a sort of.
This is a beautiful thing.
And I was like, well, look, I started kind of
unpacking
and going through the
thought process.
Thought process, and it was like, okay, cool. So
we'd already talked about the move we're making and renting our house out. But then the next, it was always with the intention of keeping one foot in the door.
Yes.
Knowing like we're not so committed that we can't come back. And so when you said that and explained it, the beautiful thing with how we show up for each other is that you can say that and not me be like,
judge.
It's our fucking home. That's our house. But straight away it's like, explain this. And by the end of that conversation, we knew we were selling your house.
And then, like because it's just, here's this just kind of cool way of making things very relatable, but sort of giving you these 2 different perspectives that you can understand.
You know someone.
You know someone in both sides. Of the, spectrum.
I have the book,
which I
read the business. You think Think and Grow Rich is good?
Think and Grow Rich is really jargony. Rich Dad Poor Dad is very simple, but just hits.
That's the thing that I found with, because I read, this was my first book of Robert Kiyosaki, which was Business of the 21st Century by Robert Kiyosaki, and I thought that was amazing, explaining the E quadrant.
So it all comes off of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And there's kind of like a sequence to them, right? So Rich Dad Poor Dad is the original. It's the goods that everything's kind of built off of. Read it.
No, I will. But I also want to know, what was the key moment for you? What was the key thing that was like, okay, this is what I need to do, or why do I have to do this? And I'm going to take, for example, one thing that I got from Think and Grow Rich was faith. A big part of it was faith. And understanding that.
I think I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
You don't know?
I don't know. Well, you say it if you think,
The key that you came to me with when you were saying, like, trying to justify or help me understand was your house is not an asset.
How is that? That's not how we were taught. What do you mean a house is not an asset? Come on, let's get into that.
Podcast for another day. Simplify that. I suppose. So very simply, though, a lot of I'll try some.
It's not an asset because it's not bringing in money but
Yeah.
you are putting money into it.
It's a liability.
Yeah, it is a liability.
And where's that money going? Where is that money going? It's going to the bank. So whose asset is it?
It's the bank.
It's the bank's
And
asset.
your liability.
There's one area where when the house is an asset, is when you sell it
or rent it out.
Or rent it out.
Yes.
If you can actually get it to a point with this day and age where the interest rates are so high and all the other taxes that you're still profiting at the end of that term.
At the end of each week, you've got to be in the green, and that's what Robert was teaching you. You know, even if you were $25 a week in the green at the end of the week,
you have to.
It was an asset.
It's an asset. You know, because it's producing cash flow. And
but this is the depths of that book, for example. I suppose is someone look at that and go, oh, this is horseshit, and throw it in the bin. You got to look at that and be able to be like, he's right. Like, okay, let's keep exploring this because beyond that, he talks more about. You sell your house, which we're going to do, obviously, which we've done. We've done that. Then it's looking at passive incomes and how do you actually make more money without exchanging your time for it.
And this is, and in essence, this is business.
Right. Which it is. Because like
how different form.
It is a business, a different form of business, which is really great because from the people that I've been listening to as well, and also being a coach, a PT, for example, it's a lot like time for money. It is quite time for money, so it's an exchange, and so. And like I said earlier on, that I hit a wall, and I think about if you want to serve the greater good of other people, that time is precious. We all know that time is precious. And if you're going to be in a position where you want to scale or you want to serve more people, your time is, because your time is so limited, how can you do it in the most efficient way to be able to cater to all these people?
Exactly.
And this is like put plainly with like the nutrition side of things. This is we're moving from a model where we meet everyone in person. It'd take maybe an hour for an appointment plus another 15 to 20 minutes to do an email afterwards. That we were so maxed out, literally, we could not fit any more in. We were at our peak. To now move into a model where it's online. The check-ins are weekly. We talk daily, so they can far more back from us. But for some people, it might be a 10-minute reply. And next week, it might take 30 minutes. So we can actually scale. We can see far more people in that time. And also not time-bound because it's have your forms in by 12 and then we'll get back to you by the end of the day. So you remove a lot of those time pressures. I use that as an example because it's quite relatable. You can see the before and after quite clearly,
And, one of the people that I've been listening to as well, he goes by the name of Myron Gold, but he speaks about if you need to spend more time thinking, rather than creating or doing things, because if you're so, or let me put it like this, okay? He says, this is the analogy. If you look at housekeeping, so a hotel, you book a hotel, and you look at who is working the hardest, usually they look at housekeepers, right? And then he gives you an example of if it's a housekeeper that's working the hardest, but they're not getting the most money, then it pops into, it really puts things into perspective and debunks hard work gets you money.
Versus smart work.
Versus smart, So how he has been teaching me is you need to be spending more time thinking, because that's where when you start bringing concepts into real life and you bring them or you delegate or you do this stuff, but you need to spend more time thinking rather than being the implementer, because implementation is the lowest scale of actually making money.
There's lots of things you learn from Rich Dad in regards to like before and especially in coaching space. You don't want to go good job to another coach because you've taken a client from me, and vice versa. So it's something that I took from Rich Dad Poor Dad was actually being able to acknowledge when to pay somebody else because they have a set of skills you don't have, rather than being envious of that and talking them down. Pay them for their time and include them in your little
mastermind.
mastermind.
Do you guys have coaches?
kind of. We've got people in different fields that
not currently, we don't have anybody.
but we rely on. You know, we've developed, you know, like relationship really good, like accountant and that type of thing.
Yeah, we have those sorts of
you know, we'll sit down with him for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and really just hash some stuff out.
Yes, invaluable because it redefined the idea of an accountant, not just here, tell me what I owe you.
Yes.
We've gone to him with business concepts in the past 12 months, and he's able to then give us information to come back with that to expand. So he's far more than what I would have classified an accountant.
Business advisor.
Just someone else that can see it from a different perspective and you go, look, like we want to understand the basics of the accounting, so we get that. But you're the man. We're going to pay you for being the man. Like, and this is, you start to understand that exchange. You know.
And we've got a friend that's done really well in business. Really well. So there's always that kind of well of information and knowledge and experience to kind of tap into. And that's always kind of helpful too, because you can put an angle to him and he can kind of sit on it and be like,
that could work,
how about maybe, you know, and a lot of the time with stuff like that, it's like, just kind of, just put the fucking, like, blinkers on and just focus on here. He said, people are getting too caught up with all this here. The answer's probably right here. If you just focus on that a little bit more, you know?
So the good thing about all these people is that you talk to them all, especially all these ones we've just kind of mentioned then. Like, I love and respect them all, and they'll give us their feedback. But we're still in a space where we sit with it and go, nah, all good, we get it, but we're still going to do this. No, thank you, but we're going to do it. And so it's really important to differentiate that and still figure out who you are. Because the key with business, as opposed to I am a chef and I'm what's the word for it? I'm employed by these people and I just do a job. Businesses, in my understanding, is more about doing the things that you love, that excite you. And trying to find a way to not only make money from that, but help others through that.
But what about this? Because, like, you know, like as a coach as well, but I think that's where the partnership comes in. But what
you're getting it now, eh?
Yeah. But like, so for example, as a coach, right, and because I single-handedly do most of my things, but which I am actually getting into a space where I'm now starting to delegate, where even if it means that I have to hire other people to do certain things for me, I'd rather do that because, you know, like we said, trading time for money, we understand that even as a coach, there's so many back-end things that people don't see, okay? So if, for example, you see a video, you watch it for 30 minutes or 30 seconds, but there's probably like 4 hours put into that video just to edit that. So what I'm saying is that for me, how is it that you guys know, okay, so admin, I don't like admin, you know, I really don't like admin, but it's touching on what you were saying in terms of you have to do something that you really love doing, but within the things that you really love doing, there's still things that you won't love.
This is where your money becomes your employee. And the return on investment, you need to weigh that up. Because if you like editing videos, etc., if you can give your stuff to someone that does it, spends an hour of their time, and it's going to cost you $100, it would usually take you 5 hours, which is going to cost you $250. Boom, you're green. You know, like if you're like, you know, at certain points of your journey where you can afford to obviously do that. A lot of the time when you're starting out, you're in a position where you kind of have to do a little bit of everything.
The bonus,
and that's okay too, because you learn everything.
You have to understand a bit of those things.
Absolutely.
I think in everything we do in life, it's being able to put yourself in the shoes of the other person or the thing. Because I'll use selling a house for an example. Before we sold our house, we kind of knew the type of person we wanted to sell our house. It wasn't just sell our house. I'm not a real estate agent, neither is Brendan, but we're able to look at it from what we wanted from him and what, if we were in his position, how we would want to be what we would want to represent ourselves. So it's finding, you know, if you got someone to edit this video. Train of thought to make back up. Okay. So if you think about if you got someone to edit this video for you, for example, having the perspective of having edited a few videos before, you know what you're looking for.
Yes.
The hardest part about it when you're delegating, especially with something that's personal to you like this, how do you give this content to somebody else to put a video together? Are they going to get the cues right? What music are they going to use? Sometimes you have to sacrifice a small element of what you think you could do in terms of the best job because it's too much of your own time to just pay someone to do a good enough job. It makes sense. Yeah.
But how I think about it is, you know, just as much as it's like finding a coach, right? You know, and like they have to figure you out. What is your style? What are you trying to push out? What kind of feedback? What is it? I think that's part of the brainstorming anyway. That what am I trying to get my viewers to see? But I think for me anyway, I think it's really important for me, or for, I guess the hardest part is knowing when is it okay to give off your baby to someone else because we hold it so dear and so close, but you can end up shooting yourself in the foot, you know, in a sense that you're trying to do so many of everything that you've ran yourself thin. And so because you've ran yourself thin, then you're not able to produce something as well. You know,
the standard you hold yourself.
The standard.
We're massive on this because, especially with clients as well, you know, like to be able to have someone sign up and say, sorry, I can't take it on at the moment. Like I have to, like for example with app thing, I talk to most of my people daily, and in order to keep providing that service, I can't have 200 clients. So in order for me to show up as how I believe, I'm treating every single client the way that I believe that they should be treated and how I want to be treated. So if I'm now ignoring a client for 2 days because I've got so many others to reply to, I shouldn't be a coach anymore. It's not, you know, like it's not what they should be getting back from me. The respect they deserve.
Absolutely.
So it's being able to acknowledge that as well, like how far can you push yourself in terms of what you're doing, especially if it's when you're trying to make money off it, to turn people away so you can keep providing the thing that you are. On that note too, you kind of had asked earlier about in regards to do we have coaches and stuff?
Do you have coaches? We'll okay.
So when I actually did the comp prep last year, we've always prepped ourselves because there's that thing there of I can't have someone else prep me because we meant to know our shit, right? So this actually segues into both things. So you wanted to know what my book was that kind of led me on that path. Mine wasn't a book. So this is where I love Rich Dad Poor Dad, but this came way after the fact for me. It was actually after we had had Macy and kind of like a loss of self, trying to figure out who I was again. If I was a bodybuilder, if I loved all these things, or if it was because I loved this guy. And it's just how I initially. And when we first got together, he was doing a show. So to spend time with him, it was going to the gym. And I'd never been into a gym before. So I was like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to train with him. I'm going to train hard. And so I fit myself into that space, which was amazing for me because it built me confidence. But I think having Macy made me look at life. Everyone told me I'd feel different. And I didn't want to feel different. But at the same time, I was like, I don't really feel different, but maybe I should. So I'm just going to completely let training go. I'm not going to make my food. I'll make his, but I'm not going to make my own. I just have to figure out who I am. And through that I ended up really fucking lost. To circle back round to Brendan telling me the whole time, but maybe you should just go train. But to lose myself to come back into the knowing that I am who I am. Not because of him, but actually he found this thing and guided me through yourself. He found this thing that was me before I even knew it was me. So to lose that and come back to who I am now has given me the conviction of who I really am. So it had to happen. But anyway, in order for that kind of conviction to come, we were sitting there and I was trying to find perspective of how do I move forward. I need to try a new training style or do something different. So I had two options. It was either pay for education, which would help level up our business, or pay a coach to change me in order to change and level up our business. So we decided to go down the route of me hiring a coach and someone that had far more experience, coming with kind of more like a background of science and that sort of thing, to extract all the knowledge from him possible, level up our game and change my body. So that was my that was the beginning of my aha and my purpose, because that was when it went from, we'd had our business for maybe 7 years or 8 years by that point. No social media. Never put any energy into it. To me, sitting down with Brendan going, if I'm going to compete and if I'm going to go down this path, I need to be on social media constantly, showing people the path that a mum can do this, that a business owner can do this. I've got to show up for everybody else. This is where that 12 months thing comes in. And this was my version of the book moment, was that I had to commit 12 months of friends that might have been dear, but seeing these things come up and going, oh, what is Michaela up to? Like, this isn't you. All those things. Because I think some of the part that makes it the hardest to change isn't that I believe I can change or you. It's that other people expect you to be a certain way.
Yes, because that's what they used to.
Yeah, and then when you start to show up another way, it's like, fuck, that's not you. It's like, it's who I want to be. Yeah. It's who I'm trying to be. So can you stop limiting me to being that and maybe just let me have this time to become this other thing or try it anyway. But yeah, so that was where the whole thing happened, really, I guess. And the confidence came from starting to just deciding to do the competition, deciding that as from a business perspective and for me to grow as a person, I needed to show up in a space like that. But this is where the energy exchange comes from, because you end up, I put a lot of time into that even now, and you get no money for it, but I get so much back from, by the end, when we fast forward all the way to getting to those shows, I built such a community with the other ladies. I had mums coming up to me that were also competing, saying that they followed the journey, and thanking me for helping them to see that as a mum, we can do it. So it's not always about money. In that moment with those ladies, it had meant more than any money could have given me. It's a hard thing to say, but if you'd said those conversations versus $1 million, it's a hard comment, but it's the conversations. It's the emotion, But so that's where.
Because it's an impact. It had impact
and it's purpose.
On all these people to the point where they felt that they needed to come up, that they could come up and communicate with you and be open and be vulnerable and share that space together.
And for me, it's like I won the shows, and so for them to come up to me, I want that, but it's also, I can understand in their position that it's kind of intimidating to do that, because if I think of myself in that position with someone above, further along the journey than me, it's daunting. But so to know that I was able to hold that space, and then for them to see me on social media and get the rawness of who I am and see me in person and still see that's who I was, it wasn't a show, they actually were able to approach me. Oh man, Brennan texted me and was like, you were good out the back. I'm like, honestly, I fucking won. I haven't even done a show, I don't give a shit what they say to me, I've won. And here, man, it was a whole thing. But I guess there was something I was going to say about that too. But that for me was the one time I've been able to have absolutely nothing to give myself, but everything to give everyone else. So how we talked about doing that for each other. I suppose when we have clients come on, and I do see this a lot with my ladies, is a lot of them are coming from some form of trauma from before. So every time and so whenever these people come on, they might come on surface level for nutrition and training, and I'll give them that. But when I start to work through the layers and they let me in, I know I have the opportunity to be what I am for Brendan and what he is for me, because they don't have that thing. So that's where, I suppose that's the answer when you're asking really early on about if you don't have what we have, how do other people get that thing? That's where finding someone like me that wants to get it. But authentically, because some people won't vibe with me either. So it's finding those people that it's not even about the money. It's just it's part of the parcel, I guess. But it's about finding that thing that I wake up every morning grateful to be doing everything that I'm doing. So it's finding finding those things.
Another thing. Your book. Your book, your favorite book. Tell me about your favorite book.
So the book thing was interesting, because when you asked me that initially, the book thing was the moment for Brendan. That's why I kind of said I didn't really have a book in that sense, because the moment was the unfolding of those events, and because the book almost gave me purpose and direction. So the thing that I did back then was what gave me the purpose and direction. Book. Rich Dad Poor Dad still probably has the most significance in terms of the overall change in mindset, because that's where a lot of the nuggets come from in terms of first thinking about your house, but then assets, and it's like, how can I Michaela Lawrence Fitness will always be the base because I always want to keep helping people, but starting to think about things of how can you fix a problem in the world, you know?
That
like,
is a big issue. So
Yeah.
what problem are you guys trying to solve?
Can't tell you.
What do you mean?
You'll solve it. So the beautiful thing about Rich Dad Poor Dad is he can give you everything, but gives you nothing.
Nothing.
So whatever So it is. It's those things that initially it gets you thinking outside the box. And in whatever way you want to think of it, it's like thought starts popping into your head of. You put yourself in situations and you go, oh, this is really inconvenient right now. Oh, everyone's probably experiencing this. No one's got a solution for it yet. Can we find a solution? And so it's trying to find a solution for those things. But this is where it's so individualized because the things we've got going on at the moment and the ideas we've got, it probably isn't something you're passionate about. So it's not that it wouldn't work, but it's easy for us. It's not work because it's something that excites us.
So you would do it anyway.
Anyway. And so rather than looking at something and going, I have, so I'll use like, I can't use anything we're kind of doing. I'm going to design a new motorbike. Rather than that being because I want to design a motorbike and make money off it, we're first looking at the problem and seeing if there's any area in the market to fill or if it's already full. How can I kind of...
Well, that's what it is.
Solutions to things, you know?
But that's what I was trying to say. It's not about the end profit. It's actually about the journey along the way. It's, okay, the motorbike might look like that, but how does the logo look? And what audience do we target that way? And
how's it going to make this person feel when they hop on that motorbike? This is how I want to feel when I'm on that motorbike. Who else is like me that wants to feel like that? And that's we're not getting that back from these other things, you know, like.
But even down to the marketing, where could we position that item to have an impact? You know? And so this is where like something we're looking at. One of the things is we start looking at products. And I can say this one because we're not doing it, but we seriously talked about soap. And how weird is that? Like, I don't use soap. I like to use the pump stuff. But you know, where is the market? How do you find those things? It's not that you're a lover of soap and you're really passionate about it. It's more just there's a thing that I could create that would give us some purpose and could end somewhere. But it's more about the process as opposed to just the thing. You know? Like, I don't know.
It just the process is like it's almost being excited. Being excited about learning a process. You know?
And then like I've learned it that way. Can we do this product and do it and not slightly different but kind of the same?
Because you guys did the candles as well. I think you did kombucha, is it? So you've been creating, you've been trying to find your niche. You know,
and you start to look at like use the kombucha for an example. In order to make that really successful, you lose what we loved about it because it can only work really on a smaller scale. When you start to really look at commercializing it to put in a bottle, it's so much more complicated. And sometimes when you
starts to take the fun out of it.
So sometimes you see things that it's like it's just meant to be for us to enjoy. It'll kill that for us, you know. So it's looking at the candles, like I have to make them personally, you know. That came from us looking for candles for years because we don't like anything, we like all natural and that sort of thing. Making them for ourselves, like why not make them for others? But so it's doing those things. I suppose they are good at the start because they help you to start doing things because you love them, not doing them because you have to make money to survive. It's that change in mindset.
I forgot the question that I want to ask you, but it was to touch on. Anyway, I'll come back to that. But you guys are obviously moving to Thailand. Whoa! Why? What made you guys decide on moving to Thailand and knowing that obviously you started your business here, but you're gonna leave there? Well, you're not really leaving it because you created it in such a way that you can still do it from wherever, which is awesome. So what made you guys want to make the move?
But even that was it's been a huge process in itself. We've been travelling there back and forth.
For the past 10 years.
Past 10 years, and spend quite a bit of time in there on a yearly basis. we just love the environment, the culture, the sunshine. Just, you know, like it's
I will really plainly put this, it's energy.
yeah.
And it's really hard because people, you try to explain it to people and like, oh, what's the humidity like? What's the this? And it's like, you have to feel it.
Yeah. It's the combination of all those things that comes together and it hits you when you walk out of that airport and it's like, you know, this is it for us.
Yes.
You know?
I've been in New Plymouth specifically for 27 years and it feels more like home than this has ever felt to me. It feels like home for us.
You
both.
talk about Thailand.
Yes.
Yeah, and this has never felt like, we've always been kind of, and we like it, but we've always kind of been on the outskirts, you know, like here. Whereas there, you're still kind of on the out, but you don't feel like you're on the outskirts. You're just in amongst everything. You're not significant or insignificant. You're just in it. It's just it.
Just a small fish in a big pond, and it's a nice, feeling. Because you can just go about your business and everybody else's too, and it's like, you know, like it's very kind of it's very freeing, you know, like
And here you walk down the street and you see somebody that, for example, like surface level, but might be in good shape. I'm not going to say anything because I'm in good shape and I don't want to think they're in better shape. Not that I think they're doing anymore, but over there, it's like, oh my god,
it's the culture. It's normal.
It's like you look sick too, like, you know, or whatever. But everyone's so quick to get in amongst and be like appreciate and be grateful for what is around them rather than being like, I'm the best at my thing, like you go over there and do it, you know, like it's very different. Wait till you're gonna come and feel it.
Come on. Because like, you know, and this is, you know, I've had thoughts about this, right? And I was thinking about how we as people don't actually collaborate, especially like here in New Zealand as well. It's almost like, you know, people just want to, I'm doing my own thing, you know, and like you do your own thing wherever you are, where I feel like the key is, for me, it doesn't make sense for you to do your own thing. And I'll tell you why, because I believe that there's so much more of a market that you can reach from a business point of view. I think there's more of a market that you can reach with other people than if it was with just yourself. You know? And one thing that we spoke about previously as well on the same podcast was probably people feel a little bit scared, you know, sometimes. It's not always the reason, but people can sometimes feel scared.
It's that conviction in yourself and what you have to offer. Because even if we collabed on something, you're still Shubba and I'm still me and Bryn's still Brennan. So the people, even if you collab and everybody and all your people see all my stuff and vice versa, it's only ever going to attract or stop attracting the people that are meant for you. And as soon as you can understand that, nobody can take anything from you.
From you, yeah, absolutely.
Because it's yours if it's actually meant to be yours. It reminds me of actually me and you.
Yes. Oh, wow.
But because,
let's get into that.
I was going to say it. No, but because, like, especially for myself from past relationships, there was this thing of, I'm going to manipulate and make you feel so broken, you won't leave me because you won't feel like you're worth anything, right?
Jeez, that's sick.
It's funny because I'm so past it now. However, it's important, I suppose, for perspective.
It is.
But when Brendan and I met each other, and obviously there's levels to this, he could see something in me that I couldn't even see in myself. And over time, it's like, I use the analogy of loving someone so fucking much that it scares you, which I found with him, and together you hold on so fucking tight, and eventually when you understand that that person loves you just as much and you let them go, they actually come closer.
Oh my gosh, I see.
You know, like, so we go to events quite often, and Brennan picks my outfits every single time. So, you know, like, we do the show, and it's like, cool, I'm lean right now. Reinvent me. How are we going to make me look for this? And okay, now show's gone, I'm a bit chubby, like I don't want my stomach out. Help me and reinvent myself rather than stick to this mold where I'll feel really uncomfortable. And he aced it. But so when people are walking past and go, oh, your shorts are short, what's up with that? Is this for him? Like, he picked this. Oh, but why does he want others to see that? Because he knows, and I can say this in this way that sounds kind of possessive, but I'm his shit and he's mine. And I fucking love that.
It's just having confidence in
and
connection, you know, like, man, she can
do what she wants.
But because we're home for each other. there's levels where you can say that, but to really, there are even points in a relationship where I'd say that, but then be like, I trust you with everything, but at the same time it scared me giving you everything, because what if one day you woke up and you're gone? I haven't thought that way in years now, but there's still to get to a point now where it's not, he'd never leave because he knows that I'm the best he could do. It's not about that. We're our people. And to get to that point, it makes me actually kind of cry. But to get to that, it had to happen at some point, right?
Yeah.
But to get to that point within somebody's really special, because we hold each other back because we're scared to lose someone. But to be able to love someone at the core and at the soul level, where he loved me as who I was at the start, he loved broken, he loved me as a bodybuilder, he loves me as a mum, to love me as a spiritual person that I had to meditate and be all these things to then come back to who I am. You can to love someone as everything, not as just a shell on the outside. Love all the phases in between. It's
and to get that back, that's when it really starts. Just
make you want to cry.
Wow,
Just sink in.
It's the tip of the iceberg thing. Face value, everybody gets to see this, but it's like
what's underneath.
And that's that goes back to lots. That goes back to business, all those self-development, all those things as well. It's like at face value. This is so amazing. You guys are doing that. It's
so great.
It's so fucking hard.
Just in this podcast, it took an hour and a half. It took me 6 hours of editing. It's not all the But I suppose this is the beauty of the space that we're in at the moment, is you understand that a lot of people will see, for example, the podcast and just see it as a podcast, not see the depths of what's gone into it, the thinking beforehand. What questions am I going to ask? Like, how do I show up? How are they going to show up? But to understand there's going to be a very small amount of people that will
actually
get it.
Get it. It's worth it, right?
Even if it's just one person.
It's even worth it just sitting here.
Because we get
just having this talk.
Because we get something. It's just it's good energy.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what we need more of everywhere. And sharing.
Sharing
and caring.
And being okay with that, because I think it's easy for me now because I'm so far through it now. But I'm a woman. It's easy. I'm expected to, and it's almost like, oh, thank you for sharing. But you guys, it's like, hold on a minute. Oh, you're crying now. I'm uncomfortable because you're really sharing stuff. You're a man. This is a real man thing. It's. We talked about this recently. Macy's seen you cry and get mad and all the things in between.
That's beautiful.
But it's been vulnerable. But what a hard thing to do when it's usually just bottle that up and just straight face it. And
bro, tell me this, bro. Why have you? Because looking at your stories, looking at
or lack of?
No, but I see it through you. Well, you repost that. But looking at your guys' stories, I see you a lot involved with your daughter, which is Macy. Both of you, of course, but the angle I'm trying to go for is really the importance of having fathers with their daughters or children in general. Why have you chosen that you really want to be a part of her life, and how do you see?
Well, it's been a role model.
It's learning now.
It's learning, and it's for her to see, obviously I was able to witness the situation that Michaela was in before I came along.
Okay.
So explain it better. I hadn't been around my dad for a long time. Abusive
relationship and that type of thing.
The man thing.
And then over the years, I'd been able to understand from seeing Michaela and being around her that a father figure was important, because
it would have changed my path.
Because men that came along over the process, whether it was a bodybuilding coach or something like that, she was very attentive and cool, I've got to give you I need this back from you, and
here my data sheet's complete. Please give me something that tell me I'm
worthy.
Tell me I'm good enough.
And I kind of got an opportunity to sit back, and sometimes I'd let it kind of play out.
Yes.
Which was
with me blissfully unaware until eventually I'd be like, oh shit, and you're like, yeah, I knew that right at the start, but
Yeah.
cool that you've acknowledged that. To now have none of that, because we're so aware. But
just so that, and like
deep diving, just to go back a sec too, just deep diving, when we look at the values we have as adults and our traumas and the way we show up, most adults do not, or parents don't want to admit that the things, for me anyway, come from childhood. The ways that we actually deal with others, the way we expect to be treated. It wasn't because my dad was bad, and this is something that's interesting too, is he probably won't even watch this, but I'll justify this how I need to. My dad is amazing, but it took me losing him and other shit that was going on to actually see him now in the eyes I do. But that it's not that we as parents go in with bad intentions. We're doing what we think's best all the time. He left not by choice, but in order to make money in a different town, because it was a recession, it was a bad time, and he was going to lose everything.
He's thinking of providing for his
He was going to lose his house and all those material things, and he wanted to give us a roof. In the process, I lost my dad, but he wasn't looking at it
from that
way.
perspective.
Nah, so. And now looking back on it with that perspective, like I'm grateful he did what he did, because now we're in the position we are, which has benefited my life. But to be able to look at Macy and reflect from how your dad treated you.
It's looking at those things too. Like this comes back to understanding yourself and where that's kind of comes
to this
two parts, if you're in for the depths of it, part two,
But it's good because, like, again, they would probably not see this for a very long time, especially in New Zealand. So it's something special.
Alright, we go there.
Okay.
So where are they going?
Stability was always
there. The stability was always there, but just like the
Can I finish? I was the rant. No.
I didn't even notice you'd been talking.
Hey, and we can say that, it's fine.
Good answer. No.
But we had that example of my family, and then the example of yours always being there for you. But then every time you went to do something that wasn't really what your parents could understand, like if you went to go and do something that your dad wanted to do, for example, why would you want to be a bodybuilder?
It was kind of hit with resistance, and there wasn't
not really support.
And there wasn't really support
there,
you know,
but not support.
So I spent a lot of time doing things out of spite, doing things to prove them wrong. You know,
that I can do.
That I can do.
And I will.
And what I would do, and it's been a common theme for me, and that I've understood over the years recently, is that I tell no one anything about what I'm doing until I've done it.
Wow.
You know?
But do you reckon
and I used to do that with bodybuilding. It used to be, cool, I'm going to go and train down a dungeon gym where no one can see what I'm up to, and I'm going to be the best.
But
you fucking watch this, you know?
What's the hardest part, like we talked about before, what's the hardest part about changing or doing something new is everybody else's perspective. You know? And this is why, like with our move to Thailand, I share everything on my page, but this we talked about, and I was like, I have to keep this kind of quiet because we were faced with so many thoughts and feelings, and that was just within us. To then deal with everybody else's thoughts and feelings, like, are there still only gravel roads in Thailand? Is it just ladyboys everywhere? Is it safe for children? You know, like, oh my god, like, you know, and so there's all the surface level stuff which we're in a position now to deal with, but we've really had to go through the depths of the change within ourselves, because people like to ask questions before they think about how the other people actually feel at the moment. But
just to touch back on that, bro, why do you think well, I have two questions, okay? Why do you think that it's been very hard for you to be able to communicate your feelings with your family, okay? And then the second question is, because, you know, when I speak to you, you sound like a person who is actually easy to speak, and you're easy to give love and show love, you know?
Thanks, I appreciate it.
No, honestly.
Nice back, you know?
But like, so where did you learn that from? You know, where did you learn that from?
Working with people.
Perspective,
like,
what's something, if you talk deep down, what's something that you would have wanted this entire time that you weren't given? It's the thing that we give everybody, which is the time for us to understand.
And actually, like, like for people to actually listen.
Mm.
You know, like you'll realise that yourself as a PT and that type of thing. Even as a nutritionist, sitting down in our consult, like a lot of people just come to like to offload. You know, like, and so you get really good if you allow it at listening and listening to the things that come up that you can kind of touch on to sort of help get through, you know. And so a lot of the times the 60-minute counselling sessions, you know, whether it's a personal training session or a nutrition session with that, you know, and it's like that's that thing of, you know, it's when someone else can actually sit down and like listen to you in that mutual exchange of, you know, energy and that type of thing. It's a really, like I appreciate that, and it's nice.
It's hard to come by.
Yeah, it's hard to come by, and it's it's a nice thing.
I think this is
because it breaks down more barriers, you know. Like,
I think this is why, you know, put quite plainly, you know, regardless of our families and where we come from, I think this is where, like, I was raised to respect blood. Like, my family is my family, and I put up with a lot of shit that I wouldn't have from other people, in hindsight now looking back on it, because that was my family. But then family shouldn't do that to you. So I think as we start to level up in life and expand and that sort of thing, you still can only show up to your family in certain ways. So the Brendan that you know and that you know of me is not what our family know of us. To certain extent. Because you can only give someone as much as they're willing to see.
Or to receive as well.
That's it. So and there's a process obviously to that too of giving them more because you can, like you say, you can only give them so much that they can receive and actually process and break down and do and maybe grow just that little bit. So the next time you can give them a little bit more without just throwing it right out there like that.
Like,
and they just go, holy shit, like, you're weird. Like,
I know exactly what that feels like because you know, I've had conversations with people because I'm naturally loving, I'm naturally giving, you know, so I will have a conversation with someone and I'm like, okay, let's dive deep.
And you genuinely, I noticed this for
and
you.
I care.
You always, right from get-go when I first met you, you'd ask questions that no one had asked me, and I said to Brendan after, I was like, does he actually care? Why is he asking? No, he's genuinely asking you. Like, oh, fuck, okay. Because most people don't, like, ask me about me. Not the other way around. Whereas you genuinely are trying to get stuff out of people.
And that's the thing, because I'm always thinking, you know, I'm helpful. That's how I think anyway. Like, how can... I don't come into the conversation like that, but I find that it's natural, you know, like, and we actually get to know, I get to know you a lot quicker than having to, oh, how was the weather? It's really sunny.
Good.
How's family?
Busy, bro. Busy.
You know, work. You know, And I'm like, man, how about we cut through all of that and like I get to know who you guys are, you know? So, but what I was saying is, I've had to learn to retract a little bit of myself, okay, just so I can help nurture them, the people who I'm speaking to, because not everybody is ready to go deep. Because I've had those remarks like, oh, he asked weird questions, and which to me were like, what do you mean weird? Because it wasn't such a weird question, but a weird question is, oh, how are your kids? Oh, you have 4 kids, or whatever, you know. So to them, that's like, whoa, like you're going a little bit deep.
Why
you
asking
know,
about
like,
kids,
man, what do you want to do? Like, you know, like, nah, I just want to know who you are, you know.
But isn't it a shame that that perspective is so uncommon that it's almost like, what do you want from me? Like, what are you trying to suss me out to rob me or something? No, I just genuinely want to know more about you, but that's not normal. It's weird, eh?
But we've had a lot of this recently with vulnerability. Like in the situation where we're leaving the country, that type of thing, and it's like we've got to say goodbyes to family and friends, and it's really hard. And it's like, okay, cool, like I'm going to show you how I'm feeling right now. Here it comes, and they're kind of looking back and they're like, Oh, and then they are starting, it's like, instead of a handshake, it's a big fucking hug, and it's like, fuck, like, this is hitting hard, bro, like, and it's like, oh, wow, and it's like, I just had I just had to show up
as you,
as me,
but for you too,
so you actually
to know that was okay.
could understand the depth
it's okay
of how I'm feeling in this situation right now. We don't just have to be straight faced and just palm it off and be like, fuck, good one, bro, like, take care, like, like, we can actually communicate here honestly and openly, and then this is good for us.
We can grow through this.
We can grow through this, you know? Like it's a good thing to share.
Yes. You do have to be mindful, like you say, like if your goal, one of my biggest goals, and I've realised in recently is to affect and impact as many women, probably specifically lives as possible, positively, to go from that person that I was before, which I don't even identify with, but to go from that to realising that you can be that and then one day be what I am now. And in order to do that, like this podcast has gone quite deep, but I can't talk about certain things on social media because it'll scare away that impact. You know, if I go all spiritual or you got deep dived into God, like it scare some people away. So you talk about the things that you can generally get the same perspective across without having to say my higher perspective is spiritual or whatever it is, you know? And then knowing that when people actually come on with you, you now have that opportunity to test those waters and really get down deep on a different level with people, you know?
I like what you said as well. Well, awesome, you know, but, you know, in a sense that vulnerability and being okay to be vulnerable actually allows other people to be vulnerable because it's really feelings that we actually wanna we are human, we are made to feel, you know, but it gives people again an opportunity to actually be vulnerable, but it takes courage for a lot of people to be actually like, okay, actually, I'm actually gonna be myself and say what I feel, cry, you know, and I'm still gonna be okay with crying. And you'll find that a lot of people behind the scenes will be like, oh man, I was so inspired by that, and you reminded me that it's okay, you know, because everyone puts on a mask that you can't be okay. You have to be strong. And as a coach, what do you guys feel? How do you guys show up as a coach? Because you both coaches, you know, because people again expecting to see you guys strong, and how do you become vulnerable with them with your? Actually, no, I'll put it this way: how do you know how much is okay to become vulnerable with your clients from a coach perspective? Am I making sense?
It really just comes back to the individual. You know, like that. It's as simple as that.
So some clients need to see that they're paying you X and they're getting X. Others, like I've got a couple of ladies who one actually in particular, who at the moment she understands what we're kind of going through, and she's sending me shit all the time. Like, be empowered, be all these things. And it's like, fuck yes, I felt that, and then I sent it to you, and then so it's like, she still sees the value in paying me the money, and that I'm her coach, and that in the nutrition and in the health space, I'm the one she's coming to for direction, but she can give back and they give together without, because some people you can't do that with, because it's like, hold on, the hierarchy here is I'm paying you money, you need to show up for me and just give me what I'm after. Whereas then there's some that you can really give that depth to, and it's a depth thing. So it's getting to know the client, and still, when it comes to for example, use jiu-jitsu, right? You can be friends with your coach, or the person who's teaching a class, but when it's time to teach a class, the friend hat's gone. You're a coach again. So you've got to be able to put that hat on and off the mat, you know, like yarns again. But so when it's check-in time, it's check-in time.
Are you still doing some deep spiritual work? Because like I think that for me anyway, that plays a big part, you know, in who I am. I often see the spiritual side of things play into the natural. You know, so if you deal with the spirit, it overflows once again into the natural.
Yeah.
So do you guys practice something? What do you guys do? Like,
So it's evolved. Initially, when I like deep dived, it's like what does a spiritual person look like?
Yes.
A spiritual person makes time to meditate every day. They don't eat meat. So they do all these
Well,
things,
at least that's what they show.
Yeah. So that's that person up there.
Yeah.
So I suppose the evolution is then it's coming to those things of going, okay, cool, I'm going to take that from there, and that from there, and that fits into our daily life.
Yeah.
So rather than just being the bodybuilder being this thing, we've managed to morph it into, like, so we do journaling every night. You do journaling every morning. So we've got those times.
Wow. Okay.
We also
what do you put in your journals?
Oh, fuck, like, what you want to manifest for the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mine's based around gratitude at the moment.
Yeah.
And not like, a lot of us do gratitude journals and it's like, I'm grateful for Brendan. But to actually, I sit for 5 minutes beforehand and I close my eyes and I reflect over the entire day. And then I actually try and feel being grateful. Yeah. Because you can say I'm grateful for this thing and not be grateful. But so it's actually the idea of journaling and about gratitude and anything or intention like Brendan does. It's actually putting yourself in that feeling to allow that thing. Because you're just saying a word. So you have to match the energy with the intention, which I think is what we're both doing.
And then you got to make it fit you.
Yeah.
Like you get workbooks and that type of thing. Like I've got a workbook. And it's like all about affirmations and that type of thing. I have some of those things in there, but at the moment and what we've been going through recently, I just have to do what feels right for me in the time. So I'm writing down what I want to manifest for the day, actions that I'm going to take in order to achieve that, what I'm grateful for, and then I might have some affirmations as well. What I'm going to manifest for the day, fuck, if I wake up and anxiety's through the roof, it can just be as simple as a calm mind. Actions
That's what you want to...
Actions that I'm going to take today, I'm going to stop regularly and take 5 deep breaths. You know? I'm going to sit with my thoughts for 60 seconds and try to calm my mind, what I'm grateful for, knowing that I am capable of anything if I put my mind to it, knowing that I can achieve the above if I follow the actions. Like, simple, bro,
So they're important though, I suppose, because if you wake up in the morning and you feel a certain way, it might be that you don't feel very sure of yourself. So the thing that you're trying to work on is to assure yourself of what you're feeling dealt with. So it's bringing yourself back to, really, I suppose, it's looking at your day or yourself in the moment and going, this thing's out of balance right now. This part of me doesn't feel okay. What can I do today to make that thing feel whole, to bring me back into balance again? But because I still wear my crystals and stuff, and I still we believe in energy. We believe in divine timing and all those sorts of things. And we follow moon cycles as well. So new moon and full moon. It's really interesting, especially at the moment because. You start to realise that the energy around these moons and that sort of thing too, it's not a coincidence with how we're feeling or the heightening of a full moon. And then when you have enough clients or enough people around you, you start to understand.
You see cycles. And it's like, okay, cool, like...
You're getting confronted with something right now, we get it, we all are. I'm quitting, like, let's get through this week. See you next week. And if they're that type of client, I can say, check out the moon cycles, or I might even just send them a link on Instagram to a really good thing that summarises it. So it's the depth that you can get within the client.
And you can, like, once you sort of start to pick up on these little things, you can get that back from a text message. Like, okay, this person's obviously really frustrated. There's lots of shit going on for them. Okay, cool. This week, let's just focus on this. Put some more energy into this.
I won't take this too personally, like I get it. We'll give them a week to breathe. Or even like, interesting way, and I'll word this, we looked recently at kind of reflecting our prices a little bit more like balanced, because we had some that were a little bit lower, blah, 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 which is a hard thing to do as a coach.
Hard.
But we were looking at the moon cycles too, like, okay, so a lot of us are going to feel extremely confronted at this point and not handle this very well. And others of us at a new moon are going to be a little bit more like refreshed energy, I'm ready to go again. There's an opportunity where they're going to see that and go, oh cool, it's not for me, because the new moon gives them that energy for what is your path really. But putting yourself in that position to be like, where are these things affecting everybody else? Do I message that person about this thing, or do I wait till next week? Or you know, like,
how am I feeling?
Yeah,
you know, like,
and how are you feeling? I said it to you the other day, like,
like,
we're both feeling that. Cool.
What do you think? Yeah, no, all good. Like, you know, like it's probably about right. You know, and if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's just what it is anyway. It's still good. You know, like yeah.
So you touched on you know, how you basically write things down and journaling. How do you guys deal with procrastination?
Procrastination's interesting. We can go through ebbs and flows with that too.
Yeah. And we all that's just
and
natural.
we all do.
Yeah,
I think
it's just one of those things, you know, and that can be it's like splitting a dime. It is like you know. If I can be thinking, yeah, man, boom, I want to do this. Something comes in, and then it's like, oh fuck, you know, should I really? Oh man, you know, like, and that, like, that's just. It's.
We have to figure out where it's coming from. Like, use our car as the example. You know, we sold that recently, and that was our last big thing. That was like, we're not going to have a car. We might not have a car tonight, actually. And it's like, how the fuck we deal with that? We've still got just under 2 weeks. You start to figure out that when your path is the way it's meant to be, you can find silver linings. My 2 of my family members have gone away, and their car's actually available, and so is their house, so we get to stay there and have that comfort while the house is gone, and all these things. But where was I going with that?
Procrastination.
Still don't really know where I was going with that.
But you like alignment and all these types of things.
And basically, why are you avoiding that?
Yeah.
You know, when I went to coming to sell the car, it's because what comes from selling the car. It's everything's gone.
Attachment.
We're gone.
Attachment.
You know, you put your house up on the market and then you sell, and it's like, oh, there's another level of gone. But so we have to look at why we're procrastinating. What do you become if you do the thing? You know, a lot of people, when it's off, I get up and make my meal for tomorrow, which I know I need to do. It could make me be the thing I want to be. And sometimes the thought of being the thing as opposed to actually doing the thing is far nicer than actually becoming the thing. You know? Saying we were going to move was a great thing. To actually do it's been fucking horrendous. It's been hard.
But you kind of...
you decide who you want to be.
Yeah, you decide who you want to be, and like there's going to be discomfort going through the process in order to become that thing or that person, you know?
So much. Sometimes it's good that you don't know how much until you're actually going through it.
Because it can be tough, you know? And just like on an emotional level and that type of thing, and just on lots of levels, you know? But it's like looking at it and going, wow, like I'm feeling this is fucking out of it.
Like a day feels like 2 whole weeks.
Like
oh my god, was that this morning?
Like, you know, but then you kind of get a little bit further along, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, that actually feels good now that I've sat with that, and it's been 3 days, and that's gone, and this is okay. Like, all right, I'm good. Like, like I can keep moving forward, and like I've got space now, you know, like for more to come in, you know.
It's funny because we are making a choice every single day what level of discomfort we live with. And it's either discomfort from the 4 walls we're in right now and not moving forward, or it's discomfort from letting go of these 4 walls and everything in those fucking drawers that haven't opened for 5 years, to that next level of discomfort. So we had to ask ourselves that many times. We knew before we left Thailand, like 2 weeks after Brendan read that book, the house was going to be sold and we were going to be back here within a year. Initially we said 2 years, and then within a week of still being there, we narrowed it down to 1, because we're like, oh, what's the fucking point? What are we going to do in 2 years if we can't do it 1? And a lot of the things we've actually come to realise is a lot of the stuff that you do, you can't even do until the last 1 to 2 months anyway. So if we had a 6 month time frame, we still would have the same pressures we've got now, because it's just how it goes.
And the thing is you're ready when you have to be.
You
know, like you can put all these, you can put all these time frames, you can put all these things in place, but then
are you ready?
Are you ready? Like. Now it's happening. It's happening.
Now you gotta be ready.
It's on. You know, like.
Okay, guys. In closing, what I would like us to do is just, obviously, this is a Limitless show, and I think we have covered a lot about limitless, being limitless, and not being stuck or bound to any boundaries. You're moving is a way of being limitless. You know. But what is it, the final word of advice, and I need it from each of you.
Can you give me a time limit?
from each of you that you would advise anyone on the other end to be like, okay, cool, I'm actually limitless and I can do whatever I put my mind to? What would be that final thing that you would say if you were to go today?
Just get out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Push yourself. Feel horrible for high cause, like you know, like yeah. It's like it's not just gonna. It might look rosy and stuff on the outside, but it's not like that. And the process really is where the growth is. You know, like
that's the journey is it. It's not the destination.
Yeah, and that's so cliche. The journey, like, but it really is because that's where you do all the learning, all the growing. That's where all the discomfort is. That's where there's good feelings, bad feelings. So just like be afraid.
Yeah.
It's okay,
but still confront it.
Yeah, but just don't let it paralyze you. You know, just confront those feelings, sit with them, and just keep moving forward.
Nice.
My one?
Yes, come on.
It would be removing pedestals. This is something I've had to learn a lot in my life, but we like to put people up here. And with this move to Thailand, I had done that too, is that the only way to do that is to have lots of money and do all these things. Like, we will explain more about our journey and that sort of thing in order, like, once we're there and we're living it.
Yeah.
But remove those pedestals, because I, right now, who I am, back the time before Brendan, I did not believe I could be who I am today. But having the perspective of her then and me now, you can be absolutely anything that you allow yourself to be.
Wow.
So don't pigeonhole yourself or believe that I'm here because I'm meant to be and you don't deserve that. You deserve to be not where I am, but exactly where you're meant to be, which could be far beyond where you are right now.
Wow.
Because you are?
Yeah.
And everyone...
Limitless.
Exactly. Everyone has different levels. You know, don't just look at that person up here. Like, you can be that person here, and you can have a fucking amazing life if that's what you want. You know?
Sometimes this is perspective too. Sometimes we have to look at what's up here, because you look at someone that's up here with finances, you look at someone that's up here with bodybuilding, for example, or whatever facet it might be. If one thing is that extreme, tell me that the other cups aren't full. Or that they are full. So,
the balance.
You know, so I would much rather see all these people at the top and be comfortably down here with Brendan, where we've got all those cups filled. We've got the wealth, we've got our relationship,
health,
all those things, you know. So take something from everyone and fill all your cups, because I like to say this a lot, but you can have it all. You don't have to just have one thing or sacrifice, you know. There is always sacrifices in everything, and if you want to be the best, it takes more sometimes, for periods, but having it all, it's
wow.
What's your closing thought from today, Shabba?
Wow, I've been trying to think about that. Oh my gosh, I've been trying to think about that. Let me think. Because you obviously all touched on it. Well, I'll leave it this way, but one of the things that I think was a bit of a paradigm shift for me was, again, the person that I usually listen to. He said, you can have limiting beliefs, but just don't fight to keep them. You know, cool. and I think that is very easy to wanna fight to keep your limiting beliefs,
because it's
comfort.
It's the knowing.
Definitely.
So, yo guys, you know what it is, guys. This has been honestly freeing. This has honestly been an amazing podcast with two beautiful people who actually love people. I'm a true testimony to that. And I know, and what I would like to do is just thank them. Thank you for your time, guys. Thank you for your time. And
this was meant to be.
Yeah, it was.
I told you before this that this had to happen.
Yes.
It's the last, and it's the first time we've been together, and this is beautiful. It was different than what I thought.
Yes.
But we've brought the energy together, and not just us showcased, but the three of us, how we've been able to navigate it. And like, I looked a few times at both of you and thought, this is sick. We're just having yarns.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
camera. You know? But then also being able to talk in a way that we've showed up where whoever makes it this far.
Whoever makes it
Send us a message. You're good people.
And we will actually get back to you.
You get it.
No, I mean, so yeah, beautiful people. There's a lot of good nuggets there for everyone. And if you're willing to dive deep into it, there's always something that you can find for yourself. So anyway, much love. We love you. We'll see you on the next podcast.
Hey, and Michaela Lawrence Fitness.
Yes, yes.
If you want to hit her up,
come on.
If you want to follow the journey,
Yeah.
there's a lot to come. Even if you just want to see what Thailand's actually like rather than on TV.
Yes.
Michaela with an N.
Yes.
Lawrence Fitness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, what we'll do is we'll drop it in the comment section,
yes,
but also on the video. But they're the go-to people for your nutrition. Please feel free. They're amazing coaches. Like I said, they love people, which is what you want. A good coach and someone who actually cares about you. Mm-hmm. Much love, beautiful people.
Thank you.
It's a wrap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like it's cool though. That's the
Use your
first
toilet
hand.
again.
It's a first hand experience of what happens when you empty your cup and fill your cup. It can happen simultaneously.